guys, if this is your first time to my channel, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your day to watch my video. My name is Emily and today I'm going to be bringing you another pay or stay away. So let's just ignore what's happening on this area of my face here. This eyelash is just begging for attention and he just wants everyone to notice him right now. He just doesn't want to cooperate. He's throwing a giant fit. And you know what the best thing to do is when someone is throwing a big fit and doesn't want to cooperate? You just gotta ignore them. So I'm just trying to ignore him here. He doesn't want to adhere to my eyelid or cooperate, and let's just ignore him as a collective, because then maybe he'll calm the hell down and stop being so annoying. But in all seriousness here, my eyelash is being all sorts of wonky today, and I apologize if that is distracting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to contain him, but I need to throw these eyelashes away, so that's going to be on the list tonight of things to do. But let's start off the new releases this week with one of the releases that I think is the most interesting, and I am talking about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Iridescent Glow Kit. This is a 6-pan glow kit and it's going to be available on May 22nd. Now I haven't seen a price for it yet, but typically these 6-pan glow kits are anywhere from like $40 to $45 depending on which one it is and depending on how big the pans are. So this palette to me reminds me of the Nicole Guerrero glow kit, and then the one glow kit that they released a couple years ago for holiday that was more beachy themed. Was it the sand glow kit? That seems like a horrible idea to name something the sand glow kit. That cannot be the name. Can you imagine opening your glow kit and just seeing a bunch of sand or highlighters that felt like sand? Oh my god, that's even worse. This is like something out of my nightmares. But anyway, this iridescent glow kit is kind of piquing my attention, and I think it's piquing a lot of people's attentions because they have released a couple iridescent glow kits before in the past. They have the Moonchild glow kit and the Aurora glow kit, and those two are more so colorful shades, but they were a little bit more sheer and they were a little bit more out there. There was some greens, some grays, some blues, and of course some pinks and oranges in those two palettes. But this palette to me looks to be a little bit more pinky, a little bit more peachy, maybe a bit more toned down as far as the color scheme goes, but it still looks very iridescent and glowy and pretty. And those promo photos that Norvina had leaked a while ago of her in the pink highlight was just absolutely beautiful, and it really did catch my attention. Now this is something I'm going to want to see in person because I don't know how glittery these are. I saw some swatches of it on Trendmood and they looked pretty smooth, but they definitely look like they had glitter in them. And I'm not opposed to glitter because you really kind of need glitter to give the highlight a really wet, pretty shine. But it just depends on what kind of glitter and how finely milled it is. And I don't doubt that Anastasia is going to give us a good product and a high quality product, but I know that the ABH and Nicole Guerrero glow kit was a little bit more glittery and kind of chunky, and so was the sand glow kit. Girl, I don't know what that glow kit was called, but we're going to call it the sand glow kit for right now, and I'll put it on the screen and someone will correct me. I already know it. One of you guys probably has it and knows exactly what I am talking about. But those two seem to be a little bit more chunky and a little bit more glittery, and some people were into it, some people weren't. And I was one of the people that was into it at first, but then once I started to discover more smooth highlights, I kind of strayed away from the glittery ones, and I haven't really touched my Nicole Guerrero glow kit because of that. So I wouldn't want to buy something that's kind of resembling that type of formula because I found formulas that I like better. If I'm gonna buy this, I want it to be kind of a top tier formula, I'm gonna be honest here. Because I'm just not gonna reach for it if it's not as good as some of the ones that I already have in my collection. So I feel like going to Sephora and swatching it is definitely going to be my best option here, because if it does turn out that these are very smooth and beautiful and maybe a little glittery but nothing too chunky and noticeable on the face, then I need this in my collection because I don't have really colors like this. I definitely have peaches and I have some pinks. Okay, maybe I do have things like it, but not anything that is that magenta looking. I mean, that pink is pretty magenta, right? It's kind of sad how I'm trying to talk myself into this, but I am interested, and I do like pink highlights, and I don't feel like I have enough of them in my collection. And I feel like the undertone of all of these shades are pretty unique. I couldn't really think of ones that could really dupe out this palette. So with that being said, after rambling here for, God, has it already been 5 minutes? I'm sorry. But after this rant that I've kind of gone on here, I definitely do want the palette. And I might try to make something in Mad Science Makeup that looks like the shade that is standing out the most to me, which is that kind of magenta-y pink shade. And I might try to make something, and then if I still feel like it's not enough for me, and if I'm still not satisfied, then I might end up buying this. So long story short, I want to see it in person. I want to try and replicate it myself, and if it doesn't work, then I'm going to pick it up. Okay, moving on. Sorry about that. We got a wonky eyelash in here. That's when you know the drama is hot. Isn't that what Rich Lux says? I know that his eyelash is always going crazy when the drama is really hot for him or something like that. Did you guys see the clip that he put in one of his videos where he had a fan in front of his face and literally his eyelash went flying across the room from the fan?
Freaking drama in this video, you won't believe. That's how you know there's gonna be some drama in this video, girl.
It was like the funniest thing ever. Oh my god, I love that man. Next up on the pay or stay away list are the new Limecrime Wet Cherry Glosses. These are $18 each and they are available now. These glosses come in 2 different finishes, Juicy Sheer and Sparkly Sheer. Okay, so with Limecrime, I kind of tread very cautiously because I know that Limecrime is totally kind of screwed up, and I know that they have done some really screwed up things to their customers in the past, and they've done some real questionable stuff. So I don't want to really bring you guys too much Limecrime, even though I talk about Limecrime kind of often because they happen to make one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. If I can stray away from Limecrime as much as possible, I'll try to do that because I don't want to push something on you guys or talk about something that might make you uncomfortable, especially when it comes to brands really screwing over their customer base. But with that being said, I feel like I am the perfect candidate and consumer for what Limecrime is going for. I truly feel like I am their target audience because almost everything they come out with appeals to me, and even if it doesn't appeal to me, like those freaking hair colors or whatever, that's kind of confusing why they released those. But even the packaging is still really cool, and the aesthetic of the brand itself is just very much so my vibe. I'm wearing a literal cherry shirt right now with little kid cherries on it, and it just reminds me of Limecrime when I see stuff like this, and I'm really into stuff like that. I don't know. I'm definitely their target audience. So when I saw these glosses, I saw the promo photos. Promo photos looked freaking incredible because I knew it was a gloss coming up, and I think a lot of people knew that. And something about the wet cherry vibe really speaks to me. I don't know why, but it does. And when I saw these glosses be released, I want every single shade. This is perfect. These are gorgeous. And the lip model that they use has the most perfect, beautiful lips, and they just look so wonderful with the gloss on them. The glosses seem to be pretty sheerly pigmented, which I'm into, and some of them are sparkly and some of them have no sparkle, but every gloss in the line looks very, very shiny and wet, and that's the point. It's called the Wet Cherry Gloss. So I want all of these. I want literally all of them, but if I could just choose one, I would go for the more nude toned sheer gloss. I believe it's called Naked Cherry. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on the names, but I really do want this, but I don't want to go out of my way to necessarily throw money at a brand that I know isn't the best. And when it comes to their eyeshadows, I truly love the formula of their eyeshadows so freaking much that I'll get past the BS that they've kind of done over the past couple of years for their eyeshadows. They are that good. And I know that's crazy to say, and some people might be like, what the hell's wrong with you, girl? But I really love the formula. And, you can buy them through Ulta now, so if you're not trusting their website and whatnot, you can go through that. But something in my brain is like, don't do it. You know, you like their eyeshadows, you're already giving them money. And it's not like I haven't tried to dupe out the formula for the eyeshadows before. I have tried a lot of different types of formulas of eyeshadows, but nothing really compares to me to the Limecrime formula and how neon and pigmented everything is. Honestly, if I were to compare, I would say Melt is very close, but Limecrime just seems to have their colors down for me and my personal taste and what I like a little bit better for me, like I said. What I'm trying to get across here is that if I don't have to throw my money at them, and if it's something as simple as a lip gloss, then I won't. So even though I do love these and I love the marketing and I am a target audience for this type of product and just the brand in general, I'm trying to keep my purchases from them at a minimum because I want to support brands that are nice to their customers, okay? And I want to support brands that don't take advantage of people and that are truthful and not dishonest. And I just feel like it's important to support people who try really, really hard and work hard and treat people fairly. So I'm still going to purchase from Limecrime. I'm not anti-hauling them. And I do want these glosses, but I want to be smart about where I'm putting my money. So I'm going to hold off for right now. And if for any reason I hear that these glosses are the most amazing glosses in the world, then maybe I'll end up buying them. But I'm going to refrain myself from purchasing them, even though I want them and they're beautiful. I'm going to keep my money in my bank account where it belongs for this one. So the next item that is going to be released soon is kind of a collection, but I'm going to talk about each thing individually here, and it is by Jouer. And the first thing I'm going to touch on here is the Jet Set palette. This palette is $24. It's going to be retailing on May 21st at noon, so if you want this, set your alarms. And looks like it's going to be retailing at the Beautylish website, and I'm sure probably the Jouer website as well. Okay, so this palette, I don't know what to even say about this palette, to be honest, because I know that there's a market out there for neutrals, and I know that there's a market out there for this type of palette, but I just feel like this has been done 1.5 million times. The price point is fine. The price point is okay. Jouer has okay quality, I've heard. Now, I've tried Jouer highlighters. I like those. I've tried Jouer lip creams. I like those too. I had a Jouer blush that I think I sent to Georgia Harris, but other than that, I haven't really tried much from them, so I don't know their eyeshadow formula, so this could be the most impressive eyeshadow formula in the world. And if it is, that's a great price. And if you need neutrals, then this may be your thing. But I'm just going to quickly list off some eyeshadow palettes that are essentially the same thing. This way, as a viewer, you can see if you have any of these palettes that I'm going to list, and maybe you'll decide that you don't need this palette if you've been wanting it, because even though it's only 24 bucks, you can spend 24 bucks on something that's very unique and different to your collection. And I find it really helpful when people do stuff like this on YouTube, because it helps me to keep my coin and to save my money, because I don't want to end up buying a bunch of dupes, and I don't want you guys to end up buying a bunch of dupes. So I'm just going to list off these palettes here that are literal color dupes, and let me just get started here because there's a lot, trust me. So the first eyeshadow palette that looks very similar, if not the same, is the Minimalist Eyeshadow Palette by LC Cosmetics. The second one that looks extremely similar is the Neutral Matte Palette by Viseart. I know I'm probably saying that wrong. The third eyeshadow palette that looks extremely similar to me is the ABH Soft Glam palette. The fourth palette that looks extremely similar to me, if not exactly the same, is the Huda Beauty Warm Brown palette, the 9-pan palette. And finally, the very last palette that looks exactly the same to me, down to a T, this one looks exactly the same, is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Contour eyeshadow palette. The basic one that everyone has in their collection. So, I hope that was helpful for you if you've been looking at this palette and you're into neutrals, and if you own one of these palettes or maybe multiple of the palettes that I just talked about, maybe you can save your coin as well. But obviously, I'm not going to be buying this because I am not even in the slightest bit interested in a palette like this at this point. I don't even own any of the palettes that I mentioned because I don't use tones like that. But I understand that a lot of people are actually into tones like this. So I'm just confused why Jouer is putting this out now. They have come out with some eyeshadow palettes before, and I think that they were both limited edition, and they came out with one eyeshadow palette a couple of years ago, and I believe it was one of their first eyeshadow palettes. And to me, this just looks like a reboot of that one. Now, I could be wrong, there could be different formulas, the shades could be slightly different, but the whole vibe of the palette is exactly the same as stuff they've already brought out. So I'm just not really impressed or interested. But, I mean, maybe this is your thing. It's not my thing, so I'm not going to be buying this. They are also going to be releasing the Sunswept Bronzer Duos, which are going to be $30. They are in the same little compacts as the blushes that they recently released in their collection, and it looks like there's going to be a light to medium blush duo, bronzer duo. My mind is getting all sorts of jumbled over here, but that duo is going to be called Sunlight, and it looks like there is a medium to deep bronzer duo as well called Sunset. And I'm not really interested in either of these either because they look nice, but the tones just don't really look like my type of bronzer, and I'm the kind of girl where I don't have a whole lot of bronzers. I think I have 3. So some people are really into eyeshadow palettes and collect them. Me over here. Some people are really into blushes and collect those. Also me over here. And then some people are into bronzers and powders and just different types of makeup. We all collect different types of things and have our own preferences, and for some reason bronzer is just not something I really venture into. I have my tried and true bronzers, and I'm not really looking right now. You know, I'm taken by my 3 tried and true bronzers, and we're all in a very happy, healthy relationship together, and I don't really need to venture out, and yeah, I'm nice and settled down with these guys. Jouer is also bringing out another highlighter to their existing highlighter collection, and this one is going to be limited edition. It is called Celestial, and it is a duochrome lilac pink, and this highlighter is going to be $24. And I like their highlighter formula, but I have one highlighter by them, and it is in the shade Citrine. I just dropped my phone. And I really enjoy the highlighter. It's very buttery, very smooth, very beautiful on the skin, but it shattered so incredibly easy. Mine is literally just powder at this point. I've tried to repress it, but I don't really want to put too much alcohol into repressing the pan because I feel like because it's so buttery and smooth and so nice of a highlighter, I feel like if I just add alcohol into the mix, it's going to dry it out a little bit and get rid of some of the smoothness and the butteriness of the product, and maybe that's just in my head, but I'm not trying to mess with the product too much. So because these break so easily, I don't really want to risk it for the biscuit. And also I heard that they actually changed the formula so that they wouldn't be so breakable, but it's just not as smooth and beautiful as it used to be. And the swatches don't look too amazing to me, but I mean, that's just swatches. Until I see it on someone's cheekbones, then I don't really know how it's going to perform. So I'm going to be passing over it, although the shade sounds beautiful. A lilac pink duochrome sounds right up my alley, and I like the idea of them being kind of a more neutral toned brand coming out with something a little bit out of the box for them. The next item that I'm going to be talking about today is the new Becca Royal Glow Highlighter. This is $38, which is their standard highlighter price, and it is available now on Beautylish. Now, the royal wedding was yesterday, I believe, and I didn't watch it because I didn't even know what channel it was on because I'm not in the loop like that. But I know that a lot of people go crazy over the royal family, and my mom is one of them. Literally, she calls herself an Anglophile because she's so into British culture and the royal family, and she was a huge Princess Diana fan. So this is like totally my mom's type of thing if my mom was into highlight. It's definitely very reminiscent of the theme. It has a little crown kind of imprinted into the powder, and the shade is just very basic. It looks like a basic kind of beigey champagne shade, and if you're into these types of shades, this might be beautiful for you. For me, I just don't need a highlighter like this, but I'm not opposed to Becca coming out with these themed highlighters, especially for events that are coming up. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that this definitely appeals to certain people, and I think that if this is your type of color, Becca has a great highlighter formula. But for me, it's just not going to work for my crazy makeup and what I like to have going on my cheekbones. But maybe this might be your thing, and if you're really into the royal family, this might be your thing as well. I didn't see the royal wedding yesterday, but I saw what Meghan's dress looked like, and I saw what Prince Harry's outfit looked like, and they looked totally fabulous. Obviously, they're gonna look fabulous. It's their wedding day. But it reminded me of this scene from South Park where they're having the royal Canadian wedding, and Meghan's dress looked exactly like the Canadian princess's dress, and Harry looked exactly like the Canadian prince. So, to me, does life imitate art? Possibly. That's a joke. I'm not comparing the royal family to South Park, but to me it looked very similar. So I thought it was just kind of funny. So I have 2 more things to talk about here. So let's go ahead and get on into what's new from Melt. So it looks like Melt is actually coming out with an eyeshadow palette instead of their typical eyeshadow stacks. And when I heard about this, I was over the moon ecstatic because so many people have been asking for this since they started basically their brand. Now, I am one of the people who doesn't mind the hockey puck packaging of the Melt stacks. I think it's cool. I like to kind of snap them together and play with them. I don't know, I'm weird. But I like the packaging and I think it looks fine. I think it works fine. But for people who are really tight on space in their house, or they're just not into having to basically unmagnetize each shadow to get their eyeshadow palette out in front of them, this is perfect. And I definitely appreciate them listening to their customer base and creating something that maybe they didn't necessarily want to create, but they did it for their customers because they obviously have a cool idea with the Melt stacks. It's unique, it's a cool concept. I'm sure the owners love it and I'm sure that they're proud of it, but they definitely listened to the people who were saying, yo, I'm not into this, but I want to try your formula. So they pushed their feelings aside and made something specifically for people who have been wanting to try the formula but don't want to deal with the extraness of the packaging. And I can definitely appreciate that. I think Melt is a great brand. They have a great eyeshadow formula. I'm sure it'll be the same in this palette. So far, we have seen 5 shades, and I'm not super crazy about the shades for my personal makeup taste, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that the shades are good, and that doesn't mean that I don't think the palette's gonna be good. This just might not be the palette for me, but that's okay because not every release is for me. It looks like there is a more mustardy, kind of pumpkin toned shade. There is a kind of dirt brown shade. Is that bad to describe something as a dirt brown shade? To me, it reminds me of dirt. I mean, it looks like nice, healthy soil, but I don't know. Then we have a deeper olive green, a matte black, and the only shimmer we've seen so far seems to be the counterpart of the matte olive green. It looks to be a shimmery, olivey, greenish brown shade. And I know that the Melt girls are super into weed culture and they love their cannabis. I'm not really into it, but I know that they have a big fan base that love them and love that they are super pro cannabis, and you go girls, you do your thing. I'm not super into it. I can see that this palette is more than likely inspired by weed because when they were showing the promo photos, they had little weed nugs that were in the shape of hearts. So that's totally cute. I'm not against that in any way. I think it's a fun idea. I'm just more so into bright colors and cutesy things, but I know that a lot of people are probably going to love this palette, and I'm excited to see them bring out new palettes and new things for their brand. And the last item that I'm going to be touching on today is actually a bunch of eyeshadow singles from Dose of Colors, and they are called the Block Party eyeshadow singles. These are $20 and there are 20 different shades, and they are available now. These eyeshadows each come in their own individual compact. And I think that you get a pretty big pan of product from what I can understand. Now the promo photos to me don't really look that much different than a typical, standard eyeshadow size. But from what I've heard and from what I've seen, they seem to be a little bit bigger, and I would sure hope so for the $20 price range. Now some of these colors did call out to me. I really like the shade Sizzle, that bright, hot, metallic foiled red. And I like some of the other shades as well. There's a beautiful teal. I seem to have a decent amount of deeper shades in this collection, and I like the concept. But for me personally, I am not really wanting to spend $20 for one eyeshadow. Now, I don't really care if it's a giant pan of eyeshadow because most people don't really hit pan very often. Now, I'm not one of those people. I hit pan all the time, and you think that I'd be advocating for big pans for a bigger price. But I don't know, especially when it comes to like a metallic foiled shade that you're probably not going to end up using all over your eye and that you're probably not going to end up using every single day, I don't really see the point of giving you more product for more money. Maybe if it was like a transition shade or a staple shade that you would use every single day, maybe I could see that, but I just don't really feel like you would get your money's worth with this product before it technically goes bad or expires or whatever. And I don't know, I'm just not super thrilled about the idea of paying $20 for one shadow. Now, to me, this formula reminds me, at least visually, of the Katie and Desi collab that they did with Dose of Colors. They made a quad of foiled shadows that you could either use with or without water or setting spray or whatnot, but they advised you to use it with the setting spray. Now, you didn't have to, but you wouldn't get as poppin' and as out there of an eyeshadow look if you didn't. So they came up with these quads and they were all foiled shades, and I had never really seen that formula from Dose of Colors before, so something tells me, I don't have proof of this, so don't come for me, but something tells me that maybe this is the same or a similar formula to the Desi and Katie eyeshadows. So I don't understand why they wouldn't just come out with quads of maybe similar colors, maybe just group the colors together that you think would go together the best and sell those as quads, because I feel like more people would be inclined to spend an extra $20 or so and get a nice quad of 4 eyeshadows that are all foiled and metallic and kind of topper eyeshadows or whatever. And in the Desi and Katie quads, the pans definitely looked to be a bit smaller than the pans are here for the single shadows, but I feel like more people would appreciate a quad with smaller pans, smaller product, but essentially in the long run a cheaper price, and you would get to try 4 shades instead of just the one. I feel like that would make more sense. So I don't really know why they didn't come out with that. I mean, even if you don't want to do quads, maybe even duos. I feel like if you just gave more than one option for that hefty price tag, then people would be really jumping on this. But I haven't really seen anyone say that they are dying to get this, and granted, you might be watching this and you might be absolutely dying to get this, and I can understand because those shadows look incredible and beautiful. But I truly do feel like more people would be on board if there was more shades to try, and if it just wasn't so expensive for one eyeshadow. I mean, that's really, really expensive. $20 for one eyeshadow is a lot, and Dose of Colors has the 5-pan eyeshadow palettes that they release every so often, and those are $32 for 5 pans of eyeshadow. Now granted, they are smaller, but you get so many more options, and you get different colors, and you get different, color schemes, and I feel like you can just be a lot more creative when you're given more options. And I feel like coming out with something where you are given more options would have been just a smarter idea here. So I'm not going to be picking any up right now. Unless I hear that they are the best things on the entire planet, then I'm going to go ahead and pass over this. But what are your opinions on that? Because I'm curious to know. Are you into getting more product and paying a little bit more for it and just getting one pan of product but having a lot of it? Or would you have rather seen them come out with a little bit less product but having more options, even if there is a higher price tag? But with that, guys, that is going to be wrapping up this week's Pay or Stay Away. I feel like after every single Pay or Stay Away I do, I end up apologizing for talking your freaking ear off, but these are just my unfiltered opinions, and I'm sorry that I talk so much. I've been trying to keep it at a minimum, but I don't know what it is. I just get really riled up over these things. That's why the makeup community is so fun, because we all feel some type of way about the releases and everything that's going on, and you guys understand what I'm talking about. So I like making videos like this. It's really fun, and I like talking a lot, let's face it here. I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I am doing Pay or Stay Away every single Monday, and I do all sorts of makeup videos during the week. So if you have not subscribed already and you would like to, I would love to see you hit that button down below. I hope you are having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!